Hi, my name is Lindy Cowling. Welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. My email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. And the title of today's video is Twin Flames, Polarization and Harmonisation, the difference. Twin flames, polarisation and harmonisation, the difference. So in basic terms, why are old school, traditional twin flame union, why do they have so much strife, so much struggle, come up against each other like antlers butting heads, and yet the energy that has imprinted on this template, the waves of connections that have imprinted on that template, have such a more harmonious time of it. Now, before I launch into this, I have addressed this before in many other videos. If you look back at Ascensionary Soulmates, if you look back at Imprinting the Newborns, the new energy, quite some months ago. There are others. There are Beyond the Twin Flame Union was another video. There are several in there that explain elements of this issue way back then. But I'm just explaining it again now because I've been asked by a few people to clarify things, so I'm just bringing this one out. So old school twin flame union, of which I am involved in that template, that's where I'm from, if you like, and have been involved in that template for a number of years now. Virtually every client I work with that is of that template, and when I say virtually every client I work with that's of that template, legitimately of old school, I'm going to call it old school, twin flame union, is still only a small percentage that are interwoven with that particular template. Other variations on a theme, there are multiple variations on a theme, but I'm talking about that particular twin flame union, the old school. When I say old school, what I mean by old school is the original template. And why is it that so many from that are either not with their twin flame, or the whole union has come down and one has gone forward into the consciousness and the other one has remained in a lower dimension? When I say that, I'm not being horrible or detrimental or judgmental. I'm just saying it as it is and as it plays out across the world. Why is that happening? And a main feature of why that's happening is the polarization of the soul. In the original form of that template, because you have the soul, aspects of soul up close and personal, it doesn't get any more polarized than that, any stronger than that. If you think of two magnets, when they are let's call it the right way round, how it's an irresistible pulling them together. But if you put the magnets the other way round, you cannot get them together for love nor money. You know, they're just pushing each other away all the time. It's exactly the same kind of premise. And if everything isn't in alignment, if you like, within all the energy bodies, and everything hasn't been lined up, I'll call it individually in each one of them, but also everything hasn't come into alignment in some ways between the two as well, so everything's balanced out. again, this pushing away, the magnet's pushing away thing keeps happening. And because you have that polarization going on, everything is so intensified as to be off the charts. So something that someone would say to you from, I'm just going to call it the original twin flame union template, old school twin flame union. If you were involved in that template, something that someone would say to you, for example, your twin, you would just take huge offence to that, or be devastated by it, or really, because of course it's not, you won't get a normal reaction there. It will be an exaggerated reaction, because you're responding to the intensity of the vibration, the intensity of the connection, plus it is, I'm going to call it, pressing on all the cellular memory, all the conscious and unconscious memory, all of the energetic memory of similar patterns of circumstances that have happened in the soul before. So let me simplify this. So say, for example, you have had abandonment issues with your genuine twin flame from the twin flame union, and something almost like semi-innocent, or something looks like it's going that way again, it will be exaggerated and felt beyond all proportion, because as the entire recorded history of the soul, you would have in your cellular memory, have a memory of abandonment before. Somewhere in your multiple, infinite incarnations of the soul, in your multidimensional experiences of all aspects of soul at the same time, there will be experience of abandonment, for sure. And so if you're with an original twin flame, like twin flame union, and something like that comes up, well, of course it's off the chart, because it's like pressing on a splinter. It's pressing on all the recorded history of abandonment, and it all comes up and smacks you in the face, punches you in the face, punches you in the gut, and takes you down by your knees if it's in there strongly. And so really, when you say it that way, it's, you know, isn't any wonder that there are still not genuinely that many genuine, from old school twin flame union, the original twin flame union template here on the planet, together here on the planet. When I mean together, I don't mean that they've activated, been around each other for a while and then gone away from each other permanently or for a number of years. I mean together around each other in friendship, in love, in marriage, in partnership, in relationship, under the same roof, working together is still a small percentage. And this is why, because you think of it as the magnets again, not just the human personalities. They are contending with vast forces of the universe and vast forces of nature. Another point, which I'm sure I've made in previous videos over the last few years as well, is that you are dealing with a new paradigm of relationship, a new form of relationship, a new form of partnership. And on a list of 50 things for twin flame union, there are many other things that come first and have to be balanced out first before they're able to be stabilized enough so that they can work that dynamic of energy without tearing lumps off each other. Otherwise, it's hell on wheels. And even the legitimate, genuine twin flames that are here, not people that think they're twin flames or call themselves twin flames when they're not, the genuine ones that are here will just validate, and it will be clear from listening to them or watching them, their energy, that they will all say that they are, it's a balancing act, and it doesn't plateau. They are constantly rebalancing, because this ding-ding dynamic remains in place for the rest of their lives. It doesn't suddenly go, you know, flatline, because they're growing at such a huge rate and evolving at such a huge rate, because everything's being speeded up, because again, aspects of more than one aspect of soul in the same place at the same time, in two human bodies at that time between them. everything's speeded up, everything's amplified, everything's expanded. So they will all tell you that it's, let's call it, it's not a conventional, what we think of as conventional relationship. They are all about service, so that's at the heart of everything, and it's, like I say, everything is amplified, so their energy is amplified, their sensitivity is amplified. Everything that they do, you know, either solo or independently with other, especially around each other, is vastly amplified. But it's always that balancing act, because it's not even until every single conceivable trigger in the recorded history of the soul is gone. It's not even that. I can't even say that, or every single trigger in the emotional body is gone. It's always bigger than that, because you've got this, it's like a nuclear explosion being contained in terms of the physics there. And so it's, you know, in all its most loving forms, you know, not in negative forms. And so you've got this dynamic like this process of osmosis, if you like, you know, this flow backwards and forwards like this, you know, for the rest of their days. So the polarization is what that template also is about, because it's the balancing out of everything, not just masculine and feminine. It's the balancing out of the actual physics of the chemistry, the chemical balance, the energetic balance, everything on all conceivable levels. There, it's not only that, which is, you know, it's shifting and changing because it's not static energy. Then that is part and parcel of what they are. But the detrimental side of that is, of course, you know, it's you're growing at a vast rate, you know, very, very fast rate. But you have to keep readjusting that if you're living with your twin flame, genuinely married to a twin flame, working with your twin flame. Again, I'm going to say, I'm not going to pull any punches on this. I've been doing this quite a few years involved in this template now. It's still a small percentage that are from the genuine twin flame union template. And that small percentage, even smaller percentage, that are under the same roof or working together. And all of those are, they stand out a mile for their genuine energy, their spiritual energy, their openness, their integrity. Their frequency stands out a mile. I mean, I don't even have to hear them or watch them on YouTube, or I could pick it up from even what they've written, who's coming from what kind of thing there. I don't mean that. I don't want to come across arrogant there. I don't want that to sound arrogant. I don't mean it that way. What I'm saying is, for me, I hear energy, which translates as a feeling. That's got just more and more and more as time's gone on. The last 2 years. In fact, I can give you another example. I've just been out for a walk in nature, which was absolutely fantastic, because for the last 2 years I've been able to hear nature. So when I say hear nature, I don't mean the birds and the animals. I mean, the only way I can describe it is it's, I call it, I mean, my kids think I'm like loony. I say, oh, the trees are singing. I can hear the sound of the vibration, the frequency that nature puts out, and it makes me feel absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm walking on air, which is why I'm recording this now. Come back walking literally on air, because it just makes me feel fantastic. You know, my heart could burst with happiness, because I'm hearing nature's vibration like that. You know, I call it singing, really. Especially trees, but especially trees and rivers and things like that. I mean, even the sea as well. It's different, slightly different with the sea. But actual trees and the streams, fantastic. I'm just using that as an example. So that's what I mean. I'm not meaning it arrogantly. I can hear. So that's why I can hear subtle differences between who's coming from the new form of that energy, who's coming from the old form of that energy. And variations on a theme, you know, catalyst, not catalyst, and etc, 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 etc. Yes, nobody's infallible. I never ever claim to be infallible. I never claim to be anything other than I am. I put myself up here, warts and all. I haven't got any warts. But if I had any, you'd see them. warts and all, for the kind of the world to see. Not because I need to do that, not because I like the attention of doing that. I'm actually, maybe a Leo, but I'm quite the opposite to that. I tend to shy away from attention. It's because it's something that I'm driven within my soul to do, and something that when I'm doing it, I absolutely love, and it seems to help a lot of people, so it's part of who I am. So that's what I mean when I can hear the sound of it. So genuine old school twin flame union always have this push-pull dynamic, always, and they find ways to balance it out, and they come more into a sense of balance within themselves. And it doesn't mean to say that they're fighting all the time or anything like that. I mean, some of them are, but many of them aren't. They learn how to work that dynamic. And again, they've got it across the board, don't forget, on every single conceivable front. I always describe it like a test tube, and the liquid all runs into one another. There's not the normal, if we say, boundaries there. But the ones that are together manage to navigate that, and they work it. And they'll all say, yeah, it's, we're having to work at it, and they have their, and that's part and parcel of who they are. Now, the other thing that they've been struggling against also is, until particular things are balanced out, the relationship element of their connection is way down at the bottom of like 49 out of 50, which means that 49 things were prioritised by the soul before that, because they aren't relationship templated. Doesn't mean to say they can't be together or married or in partnership. It means that they're the new form of a connection like that. And as the template comes first. So if, as part of that template, the twin flame union, it is ideal or essential that they be together, and I've said this many times on camera before, I truly feel, and I haven't varied in that or budged from that in an ideal world, it would be fantastic to see everyone connected with that template together in some way, in friendship, in partnership, working that energy, lovers, in marriage, or whatever way. It would be lovely, but there's still a small percentage. So it's testament to the ones that have, let's say, made it. That implies the rest of us have failed. So I only mean made it in the sense that they're managing to keep around each other and balancing it. For the vast majority involved in that template, we are doing it solo. We are holding that, acting as conduits for that template and frequency, without anybody else alongside us doing it. And again, I'm going to take my hat off to everybody doing that, and I'm going to take my hat off to me included there. We're doing that and have done that with all the emotional fallout and compensating in a way for other aspects of our soul not being able to face themselves or come into a relationship or partnership with themselves, and to be true to themselves. And again, I'm not being horrible or judging that, and every single situation is different, and I'm commenting on my personal situation, which it was then as well. But what I'm saying is, I'm just like, kudos, hats off to everybody that is to do with that original template and working that template and genuinely helping people in act of service when they've been through the connection that they've been through and it hasn't worked out. They haven't, they could easily have both gone and just said, oh, to hell with it, and given up on it. But that's not what I see. I see across the world that one of them tends to go forward and do the best they can, which is fantastic. So that's the polarization. The harmonization end of it, and I would say that old school twin flame union can come into a point of where it's not so hard work, but they're always readjusting and rebalancing, and they always will be to the rest of the time. I mean, because they're still evolving like we all are, and they're evolving at a very fast rate, and so it's like being on a surfboard or a skateboard. You know, they're just readjusting their balance the whole time. And there are elements of harmony within that, but then they readjust again, and then it goes woo, and then they have to go through a thing, and then they balance out again, and so on and so forth. With those that have imprinted on that template, and other people will call this another name, with those that have imprinted on the twin flame union template, that act of service, that frequency that was put down so that a new relationship paradigm would form, which now has been starting to happen for the last few years, that is a different sound again. And that again is, there are variations on a theme. There are aspects of spiritual energy involved there. Some are aspects of same soul, but many of them actually aren't the same aspects of same soul, but they're connecting spiritually. And there are all variations on a theme, but they're still imprinted on that template, and there's still new energy. And all of these that have taken on, imprinted would be the closest word, imprinted on that twin flame union template, they have some of the aspects that twin flame union have, but without half the crap that goes with it, because it's much more harmonious, because they're relationship templated. The people that have imprinted on it, most of them are relationship templated for a start. So they don't, and also they don't have those aspects of polarization to the extent that old flame, twin flame union template had or has. So they're not going up against polarization for a start, and they're not going up against the relationship template aspect, which that's not on a list of, that's not 49 out of 50 for the harmonization for those that have imprinted on that. Actually, it's at the top. So I have genuinely seen this now unfolding in people. I mean, I would have to look back at my YouTube videos to when I was first talking about it. I've started seeing it in the last 14, 15 months, maybe longer, where I started to see changes like that, and it took me a while to articulate it in my own way, but then I started articulating it because I thought, well, I can't not say anything. There are connections coming in that are connected to that twin flame union template, but that aren't twin flame union. And there have been others that have been voicing it as well, as well in their own way, like Melanie Cole for Gold Ray Twin Flames, for example. There are other people, that are voicing their take on it and how they see it, and things like that as well. And like I say, we all come, there are many of us that have similarities, and some of us that are, completely different. So that's why people that have imprinted on that template have harmonization much easier, because they're not in a polarized state to begin with, like twin flame union. And they're also relationship templated, and that's kind of like the bottom line there. So they're not swimming, they're not like a salmon swimming upstream on that front as well. So I think that's all I wanted to say, really. It's just my way of explaining it. I have kind of explained this before, not directly in this way, but in the videos, like I say, there are 6, 7, maybe even more than that on there, that when this started happening and I was explaining what was happening, in the way that I could explain it, as my consciousness has been changing, as I've been evolving, as I've been opening up, your perception and your state of consciousness changes, so I can explain it in a different way, I can perceive it in a different way, as I'm altering all the time as well. So I think that's all I want to say, really. What I would also have really been drawn to say, which I think is the first time I've said on camera here as well, is I want to give a shout out to Lee and Sherry. This is my first time. I've known of Lee and Sherry for a good few years now. We're connected to one another through social media as well. And I just love those guys. I really love those guys because I love the way that they are so down to earth and genuine. They call a spade, like I do, really. They're funny and they're very real. I mean, I really like people that are very real. And I want to give a shout out to them because I think it's great what they're doing and the way that they are teaching people to come into the highest version of who they truly are and into relationship, you know, with themselves. And so it's the first time I've given them a shout out. Gold Ray Twin Flames I've mentioned many times in the past on camera. And again, you know, it's important for me to say that sometimes when I give people a shout out, I'm unusual in that because a lot of people don't do that. Sometimes when I give people a shout out, it's not because I agree with everything that they say. It's not that I validate everything that they say. It's not that I am even particularly like them, but it's because big chunks of their work resonate. I know where they're coming from. I love their presentation, their plain speaking. And so it's not always that I agree with everything or even agree sometimes with the way that the things are said. But I know the heart, where the heart of someone is coming from, you know. And so I do really, you know, I mentioned Gold Ray Twin Flames a lot of times before. Lee and Sherry, I've known her for ages, was my first shout out. And again, you know, I just like that... that genuine transparency. Nobody gets it all right. People might think they get it all right and they know it all, but they don't. None of us do. We only know where we're up to according to our state of awareness and consciousness at the time, and people have to be open and brave enough to say that, and most of these people that I'm talking about do fess up to that. You know, nobody has all the pieces of the puzzle, and I've used that line before in another YouTube. People will share up to a rate of perception and awareness of their own consciousness to where they are. What is really, really encouraging is as people are going through that state of consciousness and opening up, and their rate of consciousness and perception is changing, many of them, myself included, are expanding with that and sharing with that, and as we're opening into it, we're sharing that with others. And we are, or I say we are, you have to be big enough, you know, man enough, woman enough to say, you know, when you think, well, actually, you know, that was misconstrued or wasn't perceived in the way, or wasn't, you know, when somebody's got it slightly off kilter, there's no blame and no judgment with that. Again, my YouTubes, I have not sat and trawled back through, however many of them are on there now after a good few years. One day I might actually do that when I've got a whole day spare, and I might throw some of them out and just think, oh, don't resonate with that anymore, or that's not really got any value to it. And I mean, I might weed some of them out and think that's not got no value to it really now. I'm going to leave the guts of it as it stands, and the reason I'm doing that is because I truly feel my videos are a representation of a template into the heart, which is a template within a template. I launched through the template of Twin Flame Union, and I've brought out a video called Templates Within Templates, and another templates are formed within templates, like Russian dolls. You know, we have one doll inside another, one template inside another, and a byproduct of that is a template into the heart, which I feel is the most important thing for humanity, that template into the heart. There are millions of people on this planet trying to activate that, and millions of people on this planet helping people, you know, go into the portal of their heart. So mine is just a tiny, tiny little stitch in that overall tapestry, but that's why I keep some of them up there where I have got none. From memory, there's not one video that I would say, oh God, no, I don't stand by that anymore, that's baloney. I feel like I would stand by all of them except some of my perception and consciousness changed, so I would explain it different, or I would perceive it as different. You can only perceive from the state of consciousness you're in at the time. And there are people finding those videos for the first time that it's helpful to access the state of consciousness I was in at that time. And there are others that are finding me now that access the state of consciousness I'm in now, and it's helpful to them now. You know, if you look back over the whole journey, there are vast changes, you know, but all of them are interwoven with coming back into your heart and into that spiritual energy. Anyway, I've deviated well off there. Look how long I've been on camera again. I didn't mean it to be a long video like that. So I hope I've explained that clearly. Excuse me. I hope I've explained that clearly. So the polarization, much more common in genuine old school twin flame union, the old template, the original template. I say it's an old template. There are people here alive and well that are part of that template, whether they are standing with a twin flame or not. There are plenty of us here that are part of that template and will be always part of that template, you know, for the rest of our lives. But there are templates within templates. You know, we go off and do other projects and other things, but you are what you are. If you're of that template, you're of that template. If you choose to step into that consciousness and not shut it down, then you continue to expand in it. And like I say, there are templates within templates. And so that's why there's a polarization there. The polarization far less than the next wave of energies, really, or people that then imprinted on that twin flame union template, which means they are using that energy and aspects of that energy within themselves. They are part of it. They're accessing it within themselves, but they're not of the original template. They've imprinted on it. It's a far better outcome. Lucky them. Far better outcome, because their relationship templated. It's harmonious. They're not swimming against the tide, and they haven't got that polarization. Not in the same way. Anywhere near the same way. How do I know this? I work with people all over the world in these states. It's an absolute joy for me to do so. I love every moment of it. It's been so amazing, and it is so amazing, you know, and, you know, I wouldn't have changed that aspect of it for the world. On that note, sorry I've gone on for so long. I will love you and leave you. Please do take care of yourselves. Interesting times that we're in. Be discerning. Follow your heart. Decide for yourselves. Choose for yourselves. Not the brainwashing from the TV or the radio. Listen to your gut feeling. It's there. Listen to your gut feeling. And you will see and feel the truth for yourself then of everything, you know. The polarization politically, the polarization across the world at the moment, all meant to be, all playing out as you know, was expected. But your focus really now is yourself, knowing yourselves enough and knowing your heart enough to be able to see and feel the truth. Right, this is a very long video. Take care. I love you and leave you. Enjoy the next few weeks. Enjoy is the right words. Hold on, it's going to be quite some ride, I think.